Hello everyone, my name is Divyansh Singh Rana and my roll number is 21AG30015, and for my assignment 1 of DIY lab I have chosen this CPU to disassemble. I connected the monitor to the CPU to show that the CPU is still in working condition. So as you can see, the monitor is showing the screen to enter the setup, but as my keyboard is not connected it won't go for any further. So now let's disassemble the CPU. So finally we have disassembled it. Opened the panel. This main thing is the motherboard which controls the whole CPU. This here is actually a AC to DC converter which helps preventing the short circuits also in the CPU, and these are all the wires that are connecting the disk, hard disk, DVD drives to the motherboard, and also the fans. This fan is actually above the main processor of the motherboard to cool down the processor. And these are the main fans which actually throws out all the heat airs generated inside the CPU. So this is the main motherboard of the CPU which actually governs how the programs would run and what is the processing and all. So this motherboard is fully made up of silicon except these slots. These are made up of plastic, and the fan, this is made up of plastic. These are actually all the slots for HDMI cable, USB cable, and audio input, audio output plugs. And these slots are for the RAM. This fan is actually above a processor, and this fan's basic function is to cool that processor down, and the heat air that is generated inside all over CPU is exhausted by these two fans that are lying there. And these are small capacitors. All over the motherboard. This here is the slots for the RAM. Currently the CPU is having only one RAM of this is the RAM that is inside the CPU. It is a 256 MB DDR RAM, and it's quite large. The today's 8 GB RAMs are even shorter than this following RAM. Here are total 2 slots of RAM, so that we could put 256 MB RAM, so the overall RAM count would be 512 MB, which would actually make the processing and the overall computer fast. This here is the Samsung's hard disk, HDD type hard disk. It actually stores all the permanent files of the computer here. This wire gives him the current to work, and this sheet is actually contains wire that transfers the data from hard disk to the following motherboard to access, so that we can access the data. And this is the DVD ROM. This is the SATA cable that is connected. It actually gives the power to the DVD ROM, and this is again a sheet of wires that takes the data from the DVD or the CD and gives it to motherboard so that we could access it on our computer. This is the back side of the CPU. It contains a ventilation so that heat air can come out. This fan actually cools down the AC to DC converter. There are two plugs. These are used to power the CPU, and these are small plugs also for using keyboard, mouse, HDMI cable, and USB cable, audio input and output cables. So this is the whole systems that makes the CPU cool and interactive also. So yeah, this was all about the following CPU. I have explained all the things. have assembled it. Now it's time to check whether it's working or not. As you can see, the light is on and the screen is also up there. So yeah, I have not messed it up and the CPU is working fine. Thank you everyone.